Hello and welcome to your new moon video for the Libra new moon in Chitra Mantra. This new moon will take place at about 1 a.m. in the UK on the 13th of October. If you live on the East Coast or in earlier time zones in the States, then you will find that the new moon will be on the evening of the 12th for you. In order to find the time of the new moon in your particular time zone, well, you can go to timeanddate.com and just calculate the amount of difference between UK time and your time. And the time again for the new moon is 1 a.m. So it is that you find yourself particularly in a situation this week where there is something that on one level looks good on the surface, but appearances can be deceiving. And upon closer examination, well, you're just not so sure if moving on a particular opportunity is going to lead you in the right direction, or if you would be making a mistake in doing so. It's just one part of you is feeling held back because you're just not certain. But then again, one side of you feels very tempted to act on the information that you do have in front of you, just to see if, well, everything is as it's cracked up to be. And as it goes, it's kind of hard to tell. And sorry to sound so confusing, but sometimes you're in one of those positions where you just kind of have to make a decision, and you're going to feel that things need to move ahead, and you need to make that choice in order to move things ahead, even if inside of yourself one part of you isn't sure. Now, I'm not saying you need to move on an opportunity that isn't good if it doesn't feel right inside of you. But what I am saying is you're going to have to make a decision, even if you're uncertain of which decision to make this week, right? In the days leading up to the new moon and the days past, we've got some very intense aspects going on. And I'm going to touch on each of them specifically. And then we're going to go back and recap the ones that are most important over the course of the week. So we've got a square, a tense aspect between Venus and Saturn happening earlier in the week. If you look down here in the corner, you can also see that Jupiter and Mars are in close proximity to each other. And while they are in close proximity to each other, they are also forming a harmonious angle with Pluto. And that's why I'm bringing to the surface that, well, action is most definitely required, and movement is going to happen in one direction or another, because you don't have a Mars-Jupiter alignment with Pluto without something major taking place. It's just the way that it tends to function. So we have that aspect, but mixed in with it, we've got tense alignments from Venus to Neptune. And that's also beginning to make things feel, well, a little uneasy, a little uncertain, and, well, for lack of a better way to put it, everything is just foggy. All you can see are vague shapes and appearances, and very little of the detail feels as if it is something that you can trust completely. So we're going to start on the 11th and take a look at this tense alignment that's going on between Venus and Saturn. We have Venus in Magha Nakshatra forming a tense alignment with Saturn in Anuradha Nakshatra. With Saturn's presence in Sagittarius and Anuradha, well, part of you is feeling held back, like you need to just put feelings or emotions or what you're thinking might be a potential or moving on a specific desire. You feel like you have to kind of put that in one place until you're sure that you're doing what's right. Now, Venus is in Virgo, and Venus in Virgo is in Magha Nakshatra. And Venus is a very desire-oriented planet, so it always wants to move on its desires. Venus doesn't do very well in Virgo. As a matter of fact, it's debilitated in Virgo. Venus is the planet, one of the divine ministers, right? And it wants refinement, but it's also very desire-oriented. And sometimes its desires can for lack of a better way to put it, get the better of it, right? Now, Magha Nakshatra, let's talk a little bit about Magha Nakshatra. Magha Nakshatra is associated with the Pitris, and the Pitris are the ancestral deities. And with the Pitris, they are there to help to guide our actions and offer insight, but they do so in subtle manners, right? Why? Well, because they want us to get strong enough to make our own decisions rather than constantly having to rely on their input. But when they do have to kind of step into the affairs of humanity or individuals in specific, they do so in a very subtle manner. And it's likely with this particular aspect, you're feeling prideful about needing to take a specific action. But mixed in with that, you're also feeling uncertain as to whether that is the action you should take, and you're feeling tempted to act regardless because you feel like, well, you know, I think that this is what's meant to be. This is what my desires tell me, and my desires compel me to take this action, even if the details are uncertain, and even if I'm not sure. I'm just going to move on my own judgment, right? Is that necessarily wrong? Well, no, it's not wrong necessarily. Sometimes you need to make an action. Sometimes that action leads in the appropriate direction. And when it doesn't lead in the appropriate direction, well, we learn from that experience, right? And that's all part of destiny. Making mistakes, that's all a part of destiny. Doing something that we might later regret, that's also a part of destiny, right? So it's not necessarily a matter of judging what's right and what's wrong in this particular equation, even though in your head you're likely going through the battle of what's right and what's wrong, and you're wanting to just put that battle all to one side and, well, just get on with things, okay? As we move forward to the 12th, we've got a harmonious alignment between Jupiter and Pluto becoming exact. Two very powerful planets. Jupiter wanting expansion. Pluto also wanting expansion, but wanting to move on what feels authentic to it, right? But not sure if in doing so it's being egotistical. And I'm not saying Pluto's feeling egotistical. I'm saying in your actions, you're not really sure if you're making a mistake in expanding and in moving forwards. Where Purva Palguni is concerned, this is also a karma-driven nakshatra. And with this, we want to make sure that we have our information correct before we set off on the next phase of the journey. And if we're not certain, well, then we can't be sure if we're working in our own best interests or if we're working against ourselves, right? But the aspects say an expansion and a movement and a very big change is definitely necessary. Pluto doesn't do anything lightly. It does everything in a very powerful and in a very big manner. It's going to make big changes and big shifts. And with its little brother Mars pushing Jupiter along through the changes, well, something has to happen. Regardless of if you think you have all the details or if you don't think that you have all the details, something is definitely going to happen, right? So you need to kind of move with the changes, just kind of make the best decision this week that you feel you ultimately can make. Regardless of which decision that you make, you're going to likely find yourself kind of swept along with certain changes. And you might as well feel like you're making an empowered decision, something where you have at least made a choice. Even if later on that choice that you made proves not to be the choice that leads to the highest level of success in what you were hoping to achieve, at least you made your own choice. And you can feel good about the fact that you've done that. And that's not necessarily an egotistical feeling. It's a feeling of connecting with your heart, doing what felt right to you in the moment. And that's something that helps to found a higher level of self-trust and self-assurance, both of which are actually necessary. Now, what's making a lot of this difficult is on the very same day that you have this Jupiter-Pluto alignment, you've also got the Sun opposing Uranus. Okay, and the sun is in Chitra Nakshatra. And with the sun in Chitra Nakshatra, sometimes with Chitra, things can appear to be different than they actually are. Something can seem alluring, right? But mixed in with it, you're feeling that there are a lot of other changes that are going on in the background as per Uranus and Revati, because where Revati is concerned, the scene is being set for the next phase of a journey, which is, Uranus is going to be in Revati for a little while longer. So we're looking at, several months down the line. The scene is actually being set for something. And so one part of you with the sun in Chitra opposing Uranus in Revati is feeling like, well, it might be better if I just kind of wait for all these changes to take place, if I kind of wait for the dust to settle, for the smoke to clear, so I can see where things really are, right? But yet you've got that little push going on in the background going, I can't ignore Mars and Jupiter trining Pluto, and some changes most definitely need to happen. On the 13th, we have our new moon in Chitra Nakshatra. And this is going to bring to the surface even more of the feelings that I was talking about with the sun opposing Uranus, because basically this is all happening at around the same time. Again, it's the concept of going, well, a transition needs to happen. What is the best that I can do? Well, the best that I can do is make an action from the heart. Where Chitra Nakshatra is concerned, Chitra is associated with Vishwakarma, also known as Twashtar, which is the divine architect. And with this particular energy, there's the motivation to do something good, to do really good works. Also connected with this is one's ethics, doing what feels right in one's heart. And many times that's the best that we can hope for, is doing what feels right in one's heart. If we then fall flat on our face, as I was saying earlier, at least you feel like you stood by yourself and you made the best decisions that you possibly could given the situation that you're dealing with. We'll touch more on this in specific as we approach the new moon, because I usually do a new moon Vedic lunar scope in addition to the full-length one that I'm doing now. But just to touch base on it briefly, with this particular new moon and the energy that's around it, you're wanting to make sure you're doing what's right, but you can't be absolutely certain. And sometimes you just have to make those decisions that are going to build self-confidence and build self-trust. If you make a mistake, is that going to destroy self-confidence? Well, it might initially, but if you remember the fact that at least you did what felt right to you, is there any blame? No, there's no blame at all. It's just the fact that you did what felt right in the moment, and you learn from the experience, and you move on to the next one. Okay? Speaking of moving on to the next one, on the 16th, a few days forward, we have a trine between Mars and Pluto. So Mars is following on the tail of Jupiter, and again, really wanting to push these changes through, right? I often like to use the analogy with Mars, that Mars is like the cosmic purgative. He wants to push things through, right? And when he's working with Pluto, and both of these planets are in Earth signs, Pluto in Capricorn, Mars in Virgo, a very detailed vision of how you want this to be and how you feel it should work out. Is it necessarily going to work out that way? No. You have the right to, try to make sure that it does. Well, most definitely, because mixed in with this, really, you're just trying to follow your heart and do the right thing. I think, again, I just want to reiterate, don't be so afraid that you're not being your own best friend. Instead, don't trust your gut, trust in your heart and what your heart is telling you and what your heart feels should happen. And by heart, I'm not saying emotions, but what feels right, what feels ethically balanced, what you know to be the right thing for you and your evolution. And sure, you can't know for certain right now, right? But I can assure you that the choices that you make right now are better for your evolution, even if it's only for the fact that there are no mistakes. Everything is just a learning curve. right? This moment that you're in right now was meant to be just as much as the next moment and the moment that was before the moment that you're in now. It's all meant to be. It's all part of a greater plan. So if you make a mistake, well, you just brush yourself off and you get back up and you get on with it, okay? Then on the 17th, while all this is going on, Venus is opposing Neptune. Now, Neptune is in Shatabisha Nakshatra. With Shatabisha is associated with Varuna. Varuna is the energy or the deity that imparts cosmic law to us, universal law, the law of the cosmos, the law of the heavens, right? But the thing is in order to really bring the lesson home, it's like Varuna wants us to learn these lessons on our own. So he sometimes makes things appear a certain way, because he doesn't want us to become too attached to the essence of our concept of man-made law. We have our own ideas of how things should work. But with Shatabisha Nakshatra, it's how the universe wants them to work, right? And so mixed in with that, you have this whole thing of going, am I working, again, it's that concept of, am I working in harmony and in my own best interest? I'm really trying to do the right thing by all parties that are concerned in this situation, right? And with that, sure, there's one side of a decision that you're going to be making about this time where one part of you goes, I'm not necessarily sure if this is the right thing to do, so I'm not feeling so happy about taking these steps, but I'm going to take these steps anyway, because it's what I feel I have to do, it's what I sense I need to do, and if that's the case, then ultimately I can't go wrong. And the truth of the matter is, well, on one level, you really can't go wrong. It's a very fuzzy week, right? Just touching briefly, but this is more of the same energy. You've got Mars conjuncting Jupiter on the 17th at the same time that Venus is opposing Neptune. So that's why the action is going to be very necessary at that particular point. In the background, the day following, you've got Mercury and Neptune forming a tensor alignment known as a quincunx with each other. And as you are trying to manifest a vision for the future, it's uncomfortable for you in knowing that all the details are not really assured or certain. You can't really see a situation fully. I think the key of the week starts with this whole energy of Venus and Maga Nakshatra. And the whole concept of going, well, you have to act. You have to make a decision. You want the guidance. That guidance may not be there in the form that you're looking for it in. You're going to have to make some very deep decisions, and the best way you can make those decisions is from the heart, as per Chitra Mantra. And that's what that energy is trying to tell you. Sure, everything may not be as it appears, but regardless, you can't hide from taking action. And action definitely needs to be taken and has to be taken. Can you trust for sure? Again, reiterating it, I know I just want to drive the point home, right? Can you trust for sure that you're making the right action? Well, no. But if it feels right in your heart, can you really go wrong? No, you can't, because you did what you could do in the best possible manner that you could do it with the information that you had. And if you make a mistake, well, again, there are no mistakes, right? It's not like even me sitting here looking at the astrology for the week can say, you need to make this particular decision. All I can really do is say, you need to make the decision that's going to stand by your heart and the decision that's going to make you feel like you stood by yourself. And ultimately, that is the best choice. If you would like a little bit of extra assistance with the approaching changes that are there, or anything else in particular, I can take a more detailed look at your particular chart, and knowing the circumstances that you might be dealing with a little more deeply, I can probably point you in the right direction. But in terms of taking a general look at the particular astrology of the week, all I can do is give you the general information of the planetary aspects as they're impacting each other, the nakshatras and the energy involved, how the universe is is wanting you to grow, but I don't have the full picture of what's going on in your life, right? But if you would like for me to take that kind of look for you, I do offer several tiers of astrological service. They are available through my astrological services page. You should see a little eye in the upper right-hand corner of this video. If you click on that, it's going to open up a tab, and that tab will take you to my astrological services page. Also, by the time you watch this video, it may be after the fact, but on the 10th of October, I'm going to be starting a predictive course using techniques from both the Jayamini branch of astrology and the Parashara branch of astrology to narrow a window of time down to a day or two, and predict events down to within a day or two. The first module of this course starts on the 10th of October and runs through November. We'll then take a break, and in the new year start with the second module. If you can register per independent module, I should let you know. And if you would like to register for the first module, you can do so again by opening the little eye in the upper right-hand corner of the video, and that'll show you a card that will take you to a page giving you the course outline and offering you the capacity to register. That's going to do it for your new moon video for the new moon in Libra and Chitra Nakshatra of the 13th of October 2015. Until next time, please take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.